Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. This is not a drill.
That was like Black Alert. I like that.
And specifically for the 4th season premiere of Star Trek Discovery,
Yes.
Kobayashi Maru.
Yes.
But I really enjoyed the season premiere.
Yes. I like the uniforms.
Yeah.
Which ones? Because there were a lot of them.
Oh my gosh.
Were there ever? I got lost.
Yeah. I do prefer Burnham's purplish uniforms. I think that looks
Me
so much
too.
better than the red. I wish that was the command color because she looks great in the purplish and it looks sort of, I don't know.
And
I don't
her-
care. I don't think the red still looks weird to me.
Her
It
dress
does.
uniform
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
dress
yeah, that
uniform
was
and
sharp.
her leather outfit also.
and the leather
was-
one, both
yeah.
of those, man, were sharp.
Yeah.
The leather was the coolest thing I've seen since the so-called Picardigan that Picard used to wear in the later seasons. Where he'd go off he wore in Darmok. I mean, that little cool jacket he had.
I love that jacket.
Me
Isn't
too.
that thing
Yes.
awesome?
Yeah.
But I couldn't get with Burnham's red. Also, the color change kept throwing me from her dress uniform to her command uniform. The color change threw me. And I'm not loving the uniforms that the rest of the crew have. They kind of seem almost baggy or ill-fitting or something
They
like
do.
that.
They do seem baggy. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like them. I mean, I'm a big fan of color, and
Mm.
it's nice to have some bright colors on this very, very muted show.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I am a little confused about why at the end of last season they completely changed uniforms to this season.
Because
Probably
those gray
'cause of-
uniforms like disappeared into the ship.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't
So
like
But
it.
no, at the very end, like when they were actually like apart and they had
Yeah,
like
they put on the 32nd century uniforms. But they were all
Nope.
gray with like
No,
a colorful
there was-
stripe.
yeah.
So what happened to the gray uniforms?
They went with a colorful uniform instead because they didn't think the gray uniforms looked good with the Discovery sets.
Yes.
Because the sets are all sort of bronzish.
And you
Well-
would think that they would have figured that out before they actually filmed them.
The last
Or
episode.
had an
Hey, wait a
entire-
minute.
Right, exactly. So they had new uniforms for literally like 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And then this
Well, I don't-
season, a whole bunch of different ones.
I don't mind the gray ones disappearing. They look like some kind of dystopian fascist regime to me. So I wasn't
I-
interested in.
I really liked them, but I do agree that they just don't look good on these sets. And
Yeah.
you need that pop of color that we have now, which I love.
Especially sitting in the captain's chair. They just look bulky on everybody, not just Burnham, but Reese too. Like
I was going to say, speaking of sitting in the captain's chair, buddy, Reese
Yeah.
gets to have some stuff to do this week.
Yeah.
Man, I was excited about that.
Yeah, I think Bryce only had one scene, but I think he had more lines than he's ever had on the show.
I know it was really cool. A whole scene of Bryce and the new guy.
Yeah.
I loved it. It wasn't very long, but it was a
No.
nice scene, and it was really good. That the bridge crew got featured a pretty good bit, not
Yeah.
in any starring roles, but in a good bit of the scenes in this whole episode. I loved it.
Yeah, it seemed like everybody got their page. in
Yeah.
This episode,
Yeah.
which was good. Yeah, it seems like Bryce is off. It's this morning. I thought he said on the Kirk, but I think he said the Curry. We watched it again this afternoon, and I think he said the Curry is the
Okay.
ship he is on.
Hmm.
Which I guess he's. I mean, I would guess not available, or they have got some big plans for Bryce because it seems like it's weird to write him off the show, at least temporarily.
Well, I thought he said that he was only there for 2 more days, like he's consulting or something.
Well, that could be.
And I don't know. I only got a chance to watch it once, and I didn't
Right.
get to go back and spot things that I wanted to hear again.
Yeah.
But
But-
yeah,
Nice that he has a storyline at all. So that's great.
We have commented before that those actors have an incredible chemistry,
Mhm.
and I would like to see them get much more work to do individually. I really like to see some more of them.
Oh yeah.
Especially
I say that every
Washington.
time
I think
we do
she's
this.
great.
Yeah, me too. What did y'all think about the opening on the planet with the Alshane?
It reminded me of the opening of all of the 2009 Star Trek.
It wasn't just me. I thought I had the
That's like-
same vibe.
Yeah, it's like Into Darkness and Beyond combined.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that, but you're right.
Yeah.
it was fun though.
Yeah. It was a lot
It
of
was.
fun.
I was happy
I
they're
really-
on a. Go ahead.
No, you go.
We're going at the same time every time. I was just happy it was a strange new planet, not some legacy race that we already knew. That it was something weird. I
Right.
want more strange new planets.
Exactly. I really enjoyed that whole scene of every turn in the diplomacy went wacko.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that, even down to, why are you keeping a cat as a pet? She's a queen. You have a queen imprisoned.
Mhm.
Like everything they said got taken the wrong way, and I really enjoyed that a lot.
Yes.
That was to me, that was almost a Lower Decks type of
Yes.
scene with the way they were going. And
True.
but yeah, I thought that was interesting too. I like the effects of the butterfly things when they started trying to fly. I thought that was real wild. To what you were saying, I love seeing just a completely alien race, and I love their attitude, which is, oh yeah, y'all Federation. And I love the way they were acting. Oh yeah, you're going to give us this, and then you're going to want something from us, and we don't trust you. And they went from mildly suspicious to murderous in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I really like their snarky leader who's like, oh yes, for the low price of free.
He was great.
Yeah,
that was pretty good, and I think realistic in a lot of ways, like you were saying, Alan, because it has been a century or more since the warp drives stopped working, and evidently they had a lot, like he said, they had a lot of issues with the Federation before that. I'd like to know a lot more about what that's all about. But I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and obviously from what they said in the opening, I think it's been a year, because they said they've gone from something like 38 planets to 59 planets now in the Federation. So they've been going around handing out dilithium for a year so far when the show picked back up.
5 months, right? Is
that
it? I think it is 5 months.
Yeah.
That seems like really fast time to mine the dilithium and get it out to all of those planets.
They refit the entire ship in like 2 weeks.
True.
This is 32nd century technology.
Exactly. Programmable matter. And now we have spore drive too. And now they're working on advanced spore drive. Yeah. What more can spore drive do?
Yeah, right.
Still not feeling those nacelles not attached to the ship though. That's just
I genuinely forgot that was a thing.
It's funny. I've seen some models coming out, and and if you notice, they're how do you do that? You have to usually do an attachment. It's got to be some kind of clear plastic where you can't see that they're still attached to the main model. So I've seen some toys coming out. I thought that was interesting. I did notice in the opener that the ship now has the new design with the nacelles not attached. In the opening when they play the music and they show all the
in the credits. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't
in the opening credits.
That.
Yeah, the little cartoon ship does not have the nacelles attached, because that opener is a little different. There's an image of Burnham they show in it.
It's a little bit. Yeah, there's a little bits of it that are changed. But that stupid flower still blooms when the crescendo happens. Oh my God, I'm tired of that. Think of something new.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought the opening was pretty interesting. I thought it was lighthearted. One thing I noticed, and I think it's very interesting, is Burnham's relationship with her crew is probably the loosest I've ever seen in a Starship Commander so far. And that's not a bad thing. Because they're friends, they generally come off like they kind of like each other. Booker, of course, is not a member of the crew officially. He winks and calls her captain. But I noticed that the dynamic between her and the crew is much different than I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen any crew as close to the captain.
Yeah.
Before, with the possible exception of Cisco and his crew later as they got to know each other. But I thought the dynamic was a very interesting dynamic. And I was waiting for that president to even comment on that, considering she came in here and criticized the heck out of her. I was expecting her to say, well, yeah, your relationship with your crew is too loose on top of everything else wrong with you.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
I love it.
It could just be because Burnham was one of the crew for so long.
Yeah,
exactly.
They know her as a peer.
And she was actually like less than crew. She had no rank when she first came on the ship.
Right.
And some of them had strong memories of her from prior to Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And she was roomies with one of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Might still be. We don't know.
That's possible. Surely not, though. Surely she gets her own quarters now.
Yeah.
The newly minted lieutenant, huh?
Yeah. Lieutenant Tilly.
Yeah. And Commander Owo and Detmer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she made a point. I noticed Burnham made a comment. She said something like, you deserved it. Basically, everyone deserved their promotion. So I thought that was cool that they did that as well.
Absolutely.
We even got Ensign Tal, and I love that like the Tilly now, or they are like season 1 Tilly now.
Oh, that was
Yes,
funny.
exactly.
Yeah.
You're right.
One point they go, okay, I'm going to stop talking now. And I just liked the way everybody just kind of laughed and just smiled tolerantly.
Yeah.
That's a thing that Tilly did early on when she would kind of like nervously ramble, and then she would tell herself to stop. And it's a great parallel. I really love it.
I thought so too.
It's also interesting to see how much more in command of herself Tilly is now. She's so much more sure of herself. And I'm loving it. I think she's a much more commanding presence than she's had before. And I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I mean, I like when you get to the end of the show and then you can go back and the characters are so much different, but it's a growth that makes sense. And I think she's really been through some things that changed her as a character, which is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I guess they're just going to pretend like we forgot that Stamets isn't the chief engineer and that his lab is not engineering because he's down there rerouting power and the Heisenberg compensators. And I was like, that's not even your job.
I have that same question because they still is it still the case that they cannot jump without him, the spore drive?
Well, they have a book now.
What?
Book can do the spore drive?
Yeah. As of the end of season 3, Book can do the spore drive.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I didn't dream that. They really happened on the show.
I had no memory of this, but
I think that's Murder Planet manipulating your dreams.
No, you are correct. He did. But following on what you were saying there, Charles, was if I was just actually thinking if Stamets was running around doing chief engineer stuff, literally like 2 seconds after they showed him running around babbling about the Heisenberg compensator, they did a spore jump. So I'm thinking, did he then run in there and plug himself in real fast and do the spore jump? And then when they get out, he runs around and he's doing all the engineering stuff again. And boy, you got to find somebody else.
Somebody else work here. Yeah,
that's not a good situation to be in. I thought. So I thought that was interesting.
Let's jump a little bit to Kaminar and all the stuff going on with Saru. And what did you think of all that stuff?
Honestly, I found out, not that the other part was not interesting. I found that stuff because I thought I really enjoyed it, but I found the stuff on Kaminar, it held me even more than the other stuff.
Oh, really? Because I was the other way around. I was like,
they
would cut back to disco and I'd be like, oh, good. The fun part is here now.
Yeah, I felt that way not until that last scene with Saru and Sukal.
Yeah.
Because they cut away from like exploding consoles and things on the Discovery, like we're all gonna die, and then it's like, well, Saru, I think you should go back into space. Like, come on.
Yeah, that was a little abrupt.
I do want to say on that point, I want Saru to be his own character, his own, in his own setting. I don't want him to be a one episode on Kaminar and then next week he's back on Discovery. I want there to be a little bit more exploration of what he's doing and the impact that all this is having on his people. And I'm so much more interested in that than just like a throwaway, I'm on Kaminar, but next week I'm going to be back in uniform.
Yeah. I would rather he go to work with the president and be like an ambassador or something. I think
that's exactly what I want to see.
Yeah.
It's funny I'll say that because I thought that too. Because sometimes on the shows like this, you wish that you could have two really major plots running all the time, but of course you can't. Because as you're saying, I mean, I always thought on the Next Generation, even though it was never going to happen, in a dream world, I wish Riker and Worf could have gotten their own ship. And we could have had two starships in the same show, which will never happen. So it's so funny y'all both said that because I'm kind of like, even if Saru comes back to the ship, it almost doesn't feel in a way right or not yet. Like
I agree. Like, what would his purpose be on the ship if he comes back? Exactly. I think that moving into a diplomatic role is exactly where his character is heading, or at least needs to head.
Yeah,
because every role on Disco at this point is filled. There's no need for him to come back to the ship. Not that I don't want him to. I just want something different for him.
Yeah.
Okay. And I completely missed. Who is the first officer of Discovery now?
That Tribble.
Oh, you saw that too, right? I thought, oh my God, can we get away from Tribbles? That little thing goes skirted by.
It wasn't even a Tribble.
Yeah, it was.
It was flat on the bottom.
Well, Tribbles can be
Well,
fun.
true.
Mm,
That was weird. Yeah, that was a weird little scene.
it was
She
like
was
a
kinda-
robot Tribble.
Well, there was a walking Tribble in the Trouble with the Tribbles that had a toy dog inside, and it was flat on the bottom.
What?
There was.
A Tribble had a toy dog and it was flat on the bottom.
That's right, and it walked. The one that was walking on the bridge let's not get sidetracked from the Tribble.
I'm very confused.
Hopefully it's Reese, because Reese was in the chair every time Burnham was gone.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Man, that would be. I would be quite surprised if that were the case.
I would be.
But
It's crazy.
I would love it.
It'll probably
It's
be
crazy
Saru next
'cause-
week.
I was
Yeah,
thinking they need. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I totally agree. Saru will come back. He will be first officer, and Reese will go back to not having any lines.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe for Doug Jones, that's what they need to do. But I think, what you said, Alan, I hadn't really thought about it like that. I think there's another path. Even if Saru ultimately comes back to the ship, I completely agree with you. I'd love to see him not do that. Maybe honestly, this entire season. Take him somewhere else. I would love. One of the reasons I was so fascinated about what was going on his home planet is the fact that they and the Ba'u
Yep.
have gotten over their problems, and that cool meeting chamber underwater.
Yeah.
And the Ba'ul are literally one of the creepiest races I've seen in Star Trek in a long time. And I thought it was fascinating to see them together now and
Agreed.
relating. That was wild.
Yeah, and I did like seeing Sukal back, even though I thought that his scene was weirdly placed in the episode.
Yeah. Right.
But speaking of Saru, they are looking for a captain for the Voyager J.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to end up being. I mean, it could be, but I don't know. I think he's been a little too erratic.
I don't think he's a very good captain. I think he's better at diplomacy. I think he's too easily manipulated. And
yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we saw that plenty last season, when he almost abandoned the mission to jump back to Kaminar.
Yeah.
But speaking of diplomatic missions, why is Book on a diplomatic mission with Burnham?
Well, she said so he could do his psychic thing.
Right.
Yeah, but
so he could talk to the butterfly people, which weren't butterfly people.
I mean, that's just, I don't know. I don't
know.
know. That just seems weird.
Yeah, but I guess if you might get into a running firefight with somebody, I'd bring Book.
Yeah.
I don't see why you would bring anyone who's not Starfleet.
Yeah, that's true. Well, now it could be that Book has inroads to some of these planets too.
That is possible.
If he's
and they
been
could
out
have said
there,
that.
That's right. Yeah, you're not wrong.
So if Saru does come back to the ship, that would be the role for him.
Yeah, to be like the ambassador at large.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I can totally see that being the case.
Yeah, that'd be great.
The ship ambassador.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
What Troy should have been on Next Gen.
Yes.
But,
thank you very much.
But that's a side tangent.
Right.
We keep doing that, but what you said, Charles, always thought the same thing is how do you have a flagship and there's nobody who's a diplomat? They go somewhere, Picard's like, give me an hour and I got to read up on all the legal thing and I'm going to go negotiate. So I agree. Yeah. If the president hangs out long, she'll probably start complaining about Book going on away missions too, because she seems like if she were going to, well, she's not going to be there long, right? She was there to evaluate her one time.
Yeah, exactly.
I could see her having an issue with that as well.
And mostly just to hassle her during every crisis.
I mean, why
lady,
are
things
you
are blowing up?
Right.
Yes.
You are causing more problems than, I mean, holy cow, that drove me nuts.
Yeah, it's like Commodore Stalker or something, like, or Commissioner Ferris. Like, would you shut up and sit down?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But Disco has a habit of doing that thing where you're in like the height of the crisis and everything stops for a conversation.
Right.
Yes.
And this one was more infuriating than the other ones because this was a lady who was actively undermining an active mission.
Yeah. While things are like exploding and things are hitting the ship.
Right. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was such a throwback to what went on. And Charles, you mentioned Commodore Stalker and Ferris and some of these other Commissioner Ferris. That was, to me, when I made a note that, man, that felt so much like the original series where there were so many ambassadors and diplomats and commodores that came on and just really messing with Kirk. But I think Kirk would have handled that president differently than Burnham did. I don't think Kirk would have asked her, are you trying to relieve me? I don't think Kirk even would have given her the choice. I don't think he ever would have said that. I think Kirk would have said something like, kindly let me run my ship.
Well, I actually enjoyed the interactions between not only then in the mid of crisis, but at the end of the episode when they have their, sidebar. I really enjoyed that whole interaction between those two and the way that Michael handled the situation. Loved it.
Oh yeah, I like the interaction. I think what we're saying is for the president to be on the ship in the middle of a crisis, literally criticizing, was way out of line. And Kirk
I know that, but exactly.
Kirk wouldn't have been as tolerant as Michael was. I can't imagine Kirk asking someone, "Are you?" Because she basically at one point said, "Are you going to ask me to step down from the chair?" I can't see Kirk asking her that.
But she's not asking that. She's challenging the president's position. She's saying, "Is this what you're going to be doing?"
Yeah.
Because who else can do what I'm doing right now? Can you?
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, I liked Rillick. I like that they're using her to sort of set up, I think, Michael's arc for the season, where she's sort of facing a Kobayashi Maru type situation.
Exactly. I was at first a little disappointed that they sort of immediately painted the president in an adversarial, role. Yeah. Like she and Burnham are going to butt heads, and but I think they resolved it well at the end of the episode, that she was there to needle Michael to see what she's made of and to evaluate her for basically a promotion.
Yeah. And I think the president's behavior on the bridge and during the battle, the crisis situation, I think her behavior, the president's behavior, was completely out of line. But as you say, Alan, at the end, I did right. She wasn't, quote unquote, a bad person.
Right.
She literally sees things differently than Michael, because she literally says Michael cares too much. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. This is one of those where people have different approaches. I keep doing callbacks, but it goes back to the famous Captain, what's his name? Jellicoe?
Yeah.
Chain of Command. Yeah, there's different ways to approach things. So I didn't personally feel that the behavior Michael has displayed should disqualify her from another ship, but that just is that president's position. Yeah. Because as Michael said, y'all wouldn't be here now if I didn't do the things I've been doing.
Yeah.
But that's also one of the most common conflicts in all of Star Trek, is exactly that. When you get somebody saying, you fly by the seat of your pants and you got to go by the rules, and somebody says, if I did follow the rules exactly, we wouldn't be here. So I thought that was a nice, really kind of nostalgic feeling in exchange between
Agreed.
the two.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I like that Burnham is, and she always has been, but she's very much a 23rd century captain.
Yeah.
Where, it's like, someone's got to pilot this mission, and I'm the best pilot. I'm on my way. Whoa, you shouldn't be leaving the bridge, should you? But and she's always been that way. Like, a lot of the things Burnham does, Kirk would do if he was the commander on the show or the captain on the show. He would be the one breaking out of a cell and going to save the day. And,
Right. Yeah. And also, I got to give the president props, because what she did by looking up that guy's history and using it to talk him down, that was absolutely fine. Yeah. And Alan, you said something about the action slows for the conversation. I thought it was a little weird that in the midst of a crisis, they thought they were going to die. Michael calls the president and go, "Hey, have you ever been there where you lied?" Yeah. Like, seriously, in the middle of this crisis, you're asking her? And actually, who cares? I actually don't care. Like, who cares?
Yeah,
exactly.
That's a conversation for like the quiet conversation on the ride back. Hey, did you really know I have to know the truth? Not... Yeah, like things are still spinning and exploding. Like, let's get out of here first.
Exactly.
Now, before we finish with this, though, I gotta say I loved Commander. I think it was Nallus, the guy who was in charge of Deep Space Repair Station Beta 6. Did I get that right?
Correct.
I thought he was great. Kind of like the guy in the beginning, where he's just kind of funny and I liked him.
Okay, but what was his plan? I mean, because she kept saying it was insane. What was he trying to do? Was he trying to walk outside to get to the ship? Because remember she said it was suicide?
Yes, to go through an area that has no atmosphere.
Okay.
So basically, hold your breath.
Yeah, that didn't make much sense. Okay.
But do they all not have like spacesuits that pop out of their uniform, or is that
I don't know.
That's a uniform on?
That's a very good question.
Like, that should be standard by now.
Exactly.
That whole scene with her hair like flying everywhere, and then all of a sudden everything just contained, and it just went on forever. It lasted entirely
it was in slow motion.
Yes, it still lasted entirely too long in slow motion. Do the slow motion, and then you're back. Not.
Yeah.
I will say,
am I the only one who thought of Willow Smith? Whip my hair.
I didn't think of that, but that works. Man, that could be an internet meme. You could do that.
Yes, it could.
Put some music to it. You can.
All right.
To it. Yeah.
I'm so doing that.
Do
I'm
it.
about to go viral.
Yep.
But no, I do think, but and that's one of those where you put it down, because my first thought, as you were saying, Veronica, my first thought always is, in every situation like that, is you're in outer space, you're going to have a spacesuit nearby. I mean, you just are. So I thought the same thing. And even with that thing, I was a little weird. Like, it took her helmet, her energy helmet, it took it a while to come, unless because it was slow motion. It seemed like it took a long time for that helmet to come online. So I was thinking, I was like, man, if you had a spacesuit on with a physical helmet, you wouldn't have to worry about that. But I guess it was for the action part of it.
Right.
Yeah. They need to incorporate force fields into their Tricom badges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So one last thing we haven't addressed yet before we finish this segment.
Archer?
Thank you.
I got it written down here.
You know, being the Enterprise lover that I am, I was so excited to have a name check for Archer, but also to have the Archer fanfare play over that scene. Oh my gosh, I was so loving it.
I even got that.
Good job.
It should have been Faith of the Heart. That's my only.
No. no. So
that was good.
I loved it.
Yeah, it was
and
a nice moment.
I really did love the president. I mean, she's giving it's almost like two different characters. She's giving that speech, you know, and the opening of Starfleet Academy, and I absolutely love that. And then she comes on the ship, but they explained at the end why she was acting so much differently, and I loved it. I really am looking forward to seeing more of her character.
You know what's weird about that, Alan, is what you're saying is between the weird thing was the relationship between Burnham and the president. And the scene with Adira.
Yeah.
When Adira saw that person die, and they're going to have a problem with that. That and Michael's relationship with the president felt like such classic Trek to me in a lot of ways. It was good. Some people who don't like the series have complained it doesn't feel like Trek, and that's a whole other issue. But I love the fact that there were some really good character interactions there. And so what you're saying about the president, that really did. It felt like a classic kind of Trek thing. And I love the thing that Adira on that mission, they were so nervous and then saw a person die, which is what's going to happen. I'm
with you. I love that moment. And I'm looking forward to seeing if there is going to be some, emotional carryover from that moment into the next episode.
Absolutely.
Oh man, that was so nice.
Last thing. So the president's part Cardassian
and Bajoran.
Yeah.
And human.
And human, right.
Yeah.
And human. Okay, I missed the eyes. And did y'all notice on the station there was one of Morn's people in the background?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Disco has been all about them for the past 2 seasons.
I love it. Yeah,
I do too, man.
Yeah.
I still pretend every one of them is Morn.
Yes.
Exactly.
And real quick, because we got to go, but what is the galaxy's threatening thing, and what the heck has happened to Book's planet? That's the thing.
Oh, dude. If anybody has been watching the current season of Doctor Who, you know that what happened to Book's planet is... And I know, Keith, you don't watch Doctor Who.
Nah.
So you might not know about the flux.
I've only heard about it.
But it is like exactly the same effect.
Wow. Because it was that weird thing.
So the flux is far reaching all the way into the future and into a whole different franchise.
Yeah, because it was the weird thing with the birds, and then the whole thing with that station was some weird gravimetric flux. And
right.
And then his planet at the end, boy. Yeah. That one caught me off guard.
That was a good ending. I mean, bad for his people, but a good ending for, a nice cliffhanger.
Yeah, and I thought that the gravity anomaly is perfect for the director, Olatunde Onsansanmi. That he directed the premiere of this one. He's done a lot of Discovery direction, but you can turn the camera upside down as much as you want, and it makes sense. So it's perfect for his style, because he loves to turn the camera upside down.
That's true. That is true.
Okay, well, yeah, give us a lot to talk about. It's a good start to the season. I'm looking forward to more.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Same here.
If you've enjoyed this excerpt from the Earth Station Trek podcast, give our full show a listen. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. We're part of the ESO Podcast Network. You can also find us on Instagram, on Twitter. We have a Facebook group called Earth Station Trek. Come join in the fun. We have a great time.